Hi guys, this is Michael from boostdevelopers.com, and this is part 3 in our presentation of the Inspire backend. And in this part we're going to have a look at theme options. So if we go to the backend, at the bottom you'll find the Inspire settings. Now let's start out with the general settings. As you can see, the general settings are divided into subsections. Next to each section is a small question mark. If you click it, a pop-up will appear with contextual help to guide you through each setting. So the first option we have is whether or not to use responsive design. Now it's important to notice that when you're in a computer browser, responsive design is turned off. So you actually have to be on a mobile phone for responsive design to kick in. If you don't want to use responsive design, simply deselect this checkbox. Now the next option is for you to upload a favicon. For those of you who don't know it, the favicon is a small icon that appears in your bookmark list or on the tab next to the title of your site. Next you can select the archive style. Now the archive is actually a pretty central part of any WordPress homepage. The archive page is the one that is displayed when you view a certain category. When you do a search, when you choose to view posts by a certain author, or when you choose to view posts with a certain tag. Now by default we display a classic blog layout, but you can also choose from any of the column layouts. So now for example, if you do a search, your search results will be displayed in a column layout. The next option is how to load new posts. By default you load new posts by clicking a Load More button. But you can also choose to load new posts by infinity scroll. Now with infinity scroll, new posts will simply be loaded once you scroll to the bottom of your homepage. Your next option is what animation to use when you load new posts. By default you have a fade animation, and as you can see all the posts fade in at the same time. But you can also choose to use what we call asynchronous fade. And what you'll see now is that the post will fade in and fade out randomly. Your next option is what style to use on the back to top button. By default the back to top button is either on or off. As you can see, when you're at the top of the page, the button disappears. But as soon as you scroll down, the button reappears. Now you can also choose to have a back to top button that is a gradient. And that way you'll see that the button fades in depending on how far down the page you are. Now the last option in the general section is whether or not to automatically check for updates. Now the Inspire theme will check for updates once every week if this option is turned on. It is important to notice that the theme will connect to the Boost Developers server to retrieve the latest update information. You will however not send any information to our servers, so you will remain completely anonymous. So if you click this button and there is a new version available, you will get an automatic notification in the top of your screen. So the next section is the header section, and this is where you can upload your own logo. Now your logo might not have the same dimensions as our logo, so you might have to adjust the header height. Also, you can set the logo position and the navigation menu position manually, or you can click this button and have the Inspire theme automatically vertically align your elements. The next section is the social links section, and here you can put in the full URLs to your social pages. These links will show up in the header area as small icons. Next, you have your footer settings, where you can put in your Google Analytics code, and also you can input what text to display in the footer area. So the final section is the footer carousel section. Now the footer carousel is a carousel that will pop up if you click this tab. And this carousel displays random posts. Now in the settings area, you can decide whether or not to start with this carousel open or closed. You can decide how many posts to load, how many posts to scroll each time you click the scroll button, how long to wait before you auto scroll, and the animation speed. So let's say you want to start with your carousel open. Maybe you want to load 20 random posts. Maybe you only want to scroll one post at a time. And let's say you want to do that every 2 seconds. And now your footer carousel will be open by default, and as you can see, it will scroll one post each 2 seconds. Next, let's have a look at the homepage settings. So in the homepage tab, you have all the settings that pertain to your homepage. And the first section is the general layout. You can select whether or not to show a slider on your homepage, and you can select the overall layout of your homepage. Now by default you have a 4-column style, but maybe you want a more classic block style, so you would change this to classic, and this will change your homepage layout. Maybe you want to have a 2-column layout and no slider. And that's what your homepage is going to display. So the next section is the slider order. Now, your slider contains all the posts that you have selected in the post settings area. But this is the place where you decide what order to display those posts in. And this is actually very easy. You simply drag and drop each post in the order that you want. So let's say maybe you want to start off with the Japanese tea time post, and then go to a post called Why Mono, which I think is a video post, and then maybe you want to have your cracks in the sidewalk post. Now do remember to save your changes. And now when you reload the page, you will start up with your Japanese tea time post, then you'll have your Why Mono video and your cracks in the sidewalk post. Now the final section in the homepage settings is the filter menu section. And as you remember, the filter menu is the menu that displays right over your general content area and that you can use to filter your posts. So right now you don't have any categories added to your filter menu. So let's go ahead and add some categories to the filter menu. And now those categories show up in the filter menu. So now you can filter all your posts by category. And within that category you can sort your posts either by date, by how many likes, or how many comments each post has. Now, the final part of the filter menu section is the option to leave out certain categories from your show all category. So your show all category is the default category, and this will simply show all your posts, but you can leave some posts out of this. So maybe you don't want to display your videos in the show all category, but you still want your users to have access to your video category, so you will include it in the filter menu as a separate menu item. So as you can see, all your posts with the video category will now be left out of the show all category, but your users can still view that category and thereby view, in this example, all your videos. Now this is a great way to create custom galleries, and you can group together posts like maybe videos or audio or maybe photos, and you can display them in the filter menu but leave them out of the show all view. Now in your post and page settings, you control how your post and pages look. So let's start out by having a look at a single post. Now the default layout is what we call the compact layout, and here you have a relatively small featured image and you have a sidebar pushed all the way to the top. If you change from compact layout to full width layout, you'll see that your post layout changes, and now we have a full width featured image with no sidebar. Finally, we have a full width layout with a sidebar. So here you get a full width featured image, but your general contents area is pushed a little to the left to leave space for a sidebar area. Under the layout controller, you can select what elements to show on your post. You can select whether or not to display a featured image, whether or not to include the post pagination, to show or hide the share buttons, and to show or hide the comments. Finally, you have your page settings, where you can choose to show or hide the author byline and the share buttons. The final settings page is the appearance settings. Now, in the color section, you can control whether or not to make use of the grayscaling effect. By default, the Inspire theme is kept in black and white, and color only appears when you hover over images. If you turn the grayscaling effect off, your entire site will be in colors. Next, you have the option to change the theme colors. The main color, and the background color. You have the option to upload a background image. Finally, you have the option to change the fonts. In the Inspire theme, you can choose from more than 600 Google fonts. Notice when you select the fonts, if available, you can also choose a variant and a subset. Notice that many of the Google Web fonts have subsets like Latin, Greek, Cyrillic, etc. Now, the main font is used for menus and general text. And the secondary font is mainly used for headings. So as you can see, Inspire comes with a lot of options for customization, and you should really go ahead and experiment with these options to build your own unique site. But don't worry, you can always return the site to its original state by going to General Settings and clicking the Reset button. And that concludes our presentation of the Inspire options. Thanks for watching.